Please welcome Jay Berckley.
Excellent. Good morning, everybody. How's everyone feeling today? All right? Good, 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 good. Do me a favor. Let's just shake it out a little bit. It's Friday morning. The weekend's upon us. Give the person next to you a high five. Say something nice. It's okay. It's okay. I'm excited to be here. I'm fired up. When I was asked way back yesterday, those were the days, weren't they? To come in and speak, I was honored to be able to fill in and help out some very good friends, people that actually took time to get to know me when I moved my family from New York City to Houston a few years ago. So we're going to do some exciting things today. I'm really honored to be here. I hope you're excited to be here. Raise your hand if there's still a little something left inside of you that wants to grow just a little bit today. Raise your hand if you got a little bit left in you. All right. And if you are willing to take a chance, say aye. All right. We can work with that because today we're going to do three things. We're going to talk about impossibility, and we're going to throw it flat on its back. We're going to blow the roof off of what you think is possible. Second, we're going to talk about living lives of meaningful service and giving back to others. Because if you're anything like me, you know that when you're really giving, you're really living. And the third thing we're going to talk about today is being men and women of extraordinary impact. Are you with me? Oh, come on. I'm a classroom teacher. Are you with me? Okay, very good, very good. Let me get the slides up, Irma. What I'm going to ask you to do for just a moment is think about something you really, really like about children in your life. Whether they're, you're a school teacher, you work with children, you have children. Don't just think about the little ones either. Think about the big ones. Think about the ones that get in trouble sometimes. Think about, I'm going to ask for some volunteers. How do you describe, in what ways do you describe the children that you love in your life? How would you describe them? What are some ways you'd use it? Volunteers, anybody? What are some words you'd use, a sentence you'd use to describe how special children are to you in your life? Yes, ma'am, you. Fearless and willing to try anything. I like that. Yes, here in the back. Genuine. Very good. Yes, somebody else.
They're curious.
They're curious. Yeah, good. What else? What else do you like about children? What is it that makes them special? Yes. Honest with you about your appearance. Yes, sometimes more than you wish they were. Don't ever ask a kid for an answer you don't really want to hear. What else? What else is it about children that's special? Yes. Enthusiastic. Absolutely. What else? Innocent. I like that answer. Innocent. What else? Creative. Inspiring. What else? Wonder. Wonder. I like that. Let's face it. We love kids, don't we? Don't we? They're amazing. They bring the vitality, the enthusiasm, the playfulness, the silliness, the little curiosities, all the genuine things, the honesty, the innocence, the purity of kids. They bring a passion for life. They love living, don't they? They get back up and they smile so easily. And from the time they're born, they can do anything, become anything. My kids, by the way, who are here, spend hours playing and imagining. They can conquer any quest. They can slay the beast. They can fly to the moon. They can become a rock star. They can do anything. They adapt to a variety of situations. They overcome all sorts of obstacles in life, and they remind us of the good in who we are. They remind us of our humanity. But in all these things, more than any of those things individually, I think kids bring us hope, don't they? For just a moment, you don't have to close your eyes, but imagine if you have children, or if you're close to children in your life. Think about the smile, the beauty, the wonder. They come into this world filled with joy. And they're a constant reminder of who we are as a people. I'd like to read a letter to you. It's a very special letter. It went viral over the internet this summer. It's written by a young girl named Katie. It's here on the board. That's the actual letter. And although you can't read it, I'm going to read it to you. It expresses the genuine love that children have for us. The little girl's name's Katie, and she's writing about her dad. And so the letter reads like this. Dear Google worker. We all have something like this in our background, right? Can you please make sure when Daddy goes to work, he gets one day off, like he can get a day off on Wednesday, because Daddy, underlined, only gets a day off on Saturday. From Katie. P.S. It's Daddy's birthday. P.P.S. It's summer, in big letters underneath. With kids, we're given something much more valuable than all the gold and all the riches in the world. With kids, we're given hope. This is just such a wonderful testimony and reminder to us that kids don't think about all the things we think about. They think about the love and affection that we have for them, and they think about how quickly they want to give it back. And before we teach them all the challenges of this world, before any of that, what they do most naturally, What children do most naturally is love. It's the first go-to for them. So let's have some more fun. I want to expand on this idea, and I want to talk to you for just a moment, and I'm going to look for some more ideas. Describe to me, in your own words, a mentor or a teacher or somebody you looked up to when you were young. Think about a person. I can think about Norman Campbell, my 4th grade teacher, or Mark Warpel, my Boy Scout leader, or James Griffith, my band director. The person who, by the way, told me that my middle school band director was a liar when she said, "You'll never become anything with your life." Who are the mentors and teachers in your life that made a profound influence? In one word, how would you describe them? How would you describe them? Volunteers. Think about that special somebody. How would you describe them? Strong. Inspiring. Encouraging.
Open.
Say it again.
Open.
Loving. Patient. Realistic. Demanding. Wise. Anything else? I think when we think about these special people and the role they have in our lives, we sometimes, and sometimes too easily, forget we're that for children too, aren't we? Don't the children in our lives sometimes look at us this way? You see, when I think about children, and I think about all the things you just said, I know that that's how they see us too. Wise and hopeful and encouraging, patient, demanding. You know, children don't see the degrees and titles. They see the heart. They see the intent. And they don't care about all those other things. Because most often, the things you do mean a lot more than the things you say. The actions are the message with children. So let's go a little bit deeper with kids. Can we do that right now? Oh, come on. Can we do that right now? Yeah. Excellent. Very good. So let's go a little deeper. Did you know that at 1 month old, if the human body grew as fast as the human brain, babies at 1 month would weigh 170 pounds? The brain is thirsty for information. It's craving information and it's getting it. By age 3, there are over 1,000 trillion neurological connections alive and active in the human baby. Isn't that amazing? There's so much going on. There's so much being processed all the time. And did you know the average 4-year-old asks 437 questions a day? Yes. Why do you suppose that is? Because they're formulating so many things. They're getting opinions on things. And you know that's true if you've had kids. My point is simple. By 1st grade, the map has been drawn. The lines can be changed and manipulated, but the map is there. What we are doing with children matters. What we're doing with young children especially. And let's be honest. If every child had a world-class education, was afforded amazing opportunities at home and in the world, we could shake hands and go home. We could leave this topic and never come back to it. But the reality is we can't, because there's so much more good work that needs to be done. Don't you agree? Here's some facts for you to think about. HISD has over 200,000 children in schools today. Did you know that? 80% of those children are on free or reduced lunch. And by the way, that doesn't mean there's anything to be ashamed about with that. I grew up that way. I can remember standing in line to get a bag of rice and a brick of cheese. I was that kid. But what it does tell us is that there's so much more we can do for kids. Did you know 30% of the children in Houston live below the poverty line? The national average is 22%. 30%, 1 in 3 kids you'll bump into today, live below the poverty line. Now let me just paint that picture for you as well. See, I grew up with a single mom, so I know how challenging that can be. And I bet if we asked around, there's people in this room that can relate to that too. The average family that lives below poverty is a single parent, usually a mom, with 3 children. That makes less than $23,000 a year. In many cases, more like $10,000 to $15,000 a year. So think about that for a minute. What can you do in this city or in this country with a family of 4 on $300 a week? Nothing. Not a whole lot. And although a kid may be doing well, the future can look bleak. And that's the reality. Tell me something. Even if a child is doing great in school, but they see the indicators around them that the world is not going to take care of them, how long will a child remain hopeful? How long will a child's first reaction be to love? Although HISD schools have made real progress, and they sincerely have, graduating over 80% of their students in most schools, that's still 20% who don't. That's 1 in 5 who leave school, who go into the world without a high school education. Think about this. What can you do today in America with a 9th grade education and without a GED? 20% of children. There are actually schools in this city where the norm is actually less children graduating than not. Every 26 seconds in America, a child drops out of school. By the time this talk is over, dozens will have left permanently. They won't come back. And when you factor issues in like unplanned pregnancies, a vacuum of two-parent households, sexual abuse, 30% of girls, 20% of boys, 70% by a member in their family, children are afraid to go home. Gun violence in and out of school, 1 in 5 children will witness a gun shooting. 94 schools have had gun violence since Sandy Hook, which was 2 years ago this weekend. Almost 100 schools. What are we doing about that? We can do so much more, and we need to be making a bigger impact. I'd like to read a poem to you. It illustrates my point really well, and it's titled, He Always. You see, this morning, in this beautiful Mecca, in this wonderful hub for the arts, and looking at around the room and knowing how many creative types and design types and art types in this room, we all know and appreciate the value of the arts. The question is not, how do we get more arts into schools? We talk about STEM when we talk about STEAM. We all know that the arts are the game changer. We all know that the mind lights up when students are involved in the arts. And by the way, one of the only scientific things we know that can do that. The metamorphosis that happens when a child goes into the arts and becomes something well beyond themselves. I don't have to convince you of that. Those are plausible goals, and we can do those things. And we are doing those things. The better questions are this. What are you going to do about it? What are you willing to personally commit? See, that's what's going to make you a person of extraordinary impact. How far are we willing to serve the children in our community in a meaningful way? You see, children need to know how much you care before they care how much you know. And so if they don't see the action, it doesn't carry a whole lot of meaning. How passionate and selfless can we become about our children, about our future, about this generation, and about the dreams we have for this city? The poem reads like this. He always wanted to say things, but no one understood. He always wanted to explain things, but no one cared. So he drew. Sometimes he would just draw, and it wasn't anything. He wanted to carve it in stone or write it in the sky. He would lie out on the grass and look up at the sky, and it would be only him and the sky and the things that needed saying. And it was after that that he drew the picture. It was a beautiful picture. He kept it under the pillow and would let no one see it. He would look at it every night and think about it. And when it was dark and his eyes were closed, he could still see it. It was all of him, and he loved it. When he started school, he brought it with him. Not to show anyone, but just to have, like a friend. It was funny about school. He sat in a square brown desk, like all the other square brown desks, and he thought it should be red. And his room was a square brown room, like all the other rooms. And it was tight and close and stiff. He hated to hold the pencil and the chalk with his arms stiff and his feet flat on the floor, stiff with the teacher watching and watching. And then he had to write numbers, and they weren't much of anything. They were worse than the letters, which could at least become something if you put them together. The numbers were tight and square, and he hated the whole thing. The teacher came and spoke to him. She told him to wear a tie like all the other boys. He said he didn't like them, and she said it didn't matter. After that, they drew. He drew all yellow, and it was the way he felt about the morning, and it was beautiful. The teacher came and smiled at him. "What's this?" she said. "Why don't you draw something like Ken's drawing? Isn't that beautiful?" It was all questions. After that, his mother bought him a tie, and he always drew airplanes and rocket ships like everyone else. And he threw the old picture away. And when he lay out alone looking at the sky, it was big and blue, and all of everything. But he wasn't anymore. He was square inside and brown, and his hands were stiff, and he was like everyone else now. And the thing inside him that needed saying didn't need saying anymore. It has stopped pushing. It was crushed, stiff, like everything else. The young man who submitted this poem committed suicide 2 weeks after he gave it to his teacher. You see, our actions with children are the message. Our heart for kids are the message. The way we love them back is the message. The patience, the genuine sincerity, the time that we give children is the message. Do you know the top 2 reasons why kids drop out of school, by the way? It has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with how pretty a classroom is. The top 2 reasons. And number 3, 4, and 5 are a distant comparison. Loneliness and low or no self-esteem. Loneliness. Kids stop believing in themselves. We can fix that. There's a solution for that. We could do something about that. It's actually why all kids, and many of us, by the way, fail to excel at anything in life. We stop believing in ourselves. We lose our dreams. We lose our hope. But there's good news. We can fix those things. Too often we make it about money. Too often we make it about things. But we can fix loneliness. We can fix self-esteem. In fact, schools in America are making progress, sincerely, and there's lots of signs of life, but we're just getting started. So what's it going to take? How are we going to be better guardians of our youth? What are we going to need to do? What are you going to need to do to turn this thing around? How do we get back to where they first began? The limitlessness hope, the potential. They're filled with joy. They're filled with love. They're excited about each day. You've all seen the things on YouTube and Instagram. You know, the kid that's asleep in the car and then mom says there's ice cream and the kid pops up. We can fix that. You can fix that. We have to become men and women of extraordinary impact. Men and women who aren't afraid to have bigger dreams, bolder dreams, and a vision for the future. And to stop making excuses with the word impossible. Because to me, my friends, impossible is nothing. It's a dare. And I challenge you. This is a personal challenge for each of us this morning, to take words like quitting, stopping, and giving up out of your vocabulary. Get rid of them. Don't use them anymore. When I got called the other day, what I heard wasn't there's going to be a big room. What I heard wasn't there's going to be the Museum of Fine Arts. What I heard was there were friends that had a need. You will always find energy in that equation. You will always get what you need. And with the grace of the good Lord, you'll be graceful if it's not ready. Take those words out of your language. I've taken them out of mine. It's changed my life. It will change yours. And don't expect things to be easy. And stop living in fear and being afraid to make mistakes. And make better choices. Your dreams bring meaning to your life. And they're worth the pain and they're worth fighting for. I gave this challenge in my TEDx talk a couple of years ago when President Kennedy challenged us with our vision as a nation to go to the moon. He said to us, he didn't ask us, we are going to go to the moon. His vision was huge. It was ridiculous almost. The public opinion was that it wasn't even important. We were just a month out from the Bay of Pigs invasion, by the way. The technology didn't exist. The funding didn't exist. And yet he said, we choose to go to the moon in this generation. Not because it's easy, but because it's hard. Because this challenge will test our fortitude as a nation. One that we are willing to accept, one that we are not willing to ignore, and one that we intend to win. We intend to win. And within 8 years, we did it. We did the impossible. Not only did we touch the moon, we sparked an industry of interesting people. There wasn't an actual plan when he made the announcement. Here in Houston, by the way, there was no blueprint. It was a man living on the side of extraordinary with a bold vision. And we got behind it. He lit a spark which ignited energy across the country. And he gave hope. He gave hope. He gave hope. We need to be the givers of hope in our circles, at work, in our neighborhoods, in our communities. And stop giving up so easily. Stop focusing on the negative, demonizing our differences, and thinking about bigger dreams. Are you with me? His actions that day and during those years inspired a generation of people who went off to found the Microsofts and the Apples and the World Wide Webs and the cell phones we all have in our pockets and the many, many medical milestones, and the list goes on and on. So what's your vision? What's your moon statement? How can you step up to your personal best? How wide can you spread your wings today? Because I think the only thing that holds us back is us. If we could do that, and we're not talking, by the way, the satellites that orbit the Earth now go up 20 miles, 200 miles. You know, we're talking about Huntsville or the Buc-ee's at San Antonio. We're talking about 250,000 miles. That's a lot of beef jerky. That's 10 times around the globe. It was beyond the scope of reality, and yet we did it because we believed in it. And how many times in human history can we point to that same analogy? How many times in your life when someone told you you couldn't? When someone looked you square in the eye and said, no, this isn't going to happen. And you said, watch. Give me time. Give me energy. You can leave this room today tired or inspired. You can be done with a long week or excited about the weekend. You can be fed up with life or hungry for change. You can be defeated by the struggles and tribulations or ready to claim this day as your own, to grab the bull by the horns and to make a difference and to put your flag in the ground and claim this mountain. The person that thinks they can and the person that believes they can't are both right. Think about that. Listen to me. The person that thinks they can and the person that believes they can't are both right. Which one are you going to be today? So, what's going to wake you up at 5 a.m. in the morning and turn your why into the how? What thing is going to excite you? What thing is going to move your soul and stir your spirit and literally turn this world upside down? I challenge you today to have such big and vivid dreams that it literally blows you away, that it scares your friends, that it moves your spouse, that it tells your friends you are someone different. You are a person on a mission, a person with extraordinary impact, and makes someone's life better in the process. This is what we're here to do. It's what we were meant to do. It's how we started life doing it until the world beat us down. So you get back up and you tell them you won't. I want that for each and every one of us today, to be a man or a woman of great impact. And as we consider the ways that we can protect and nurture and encourage the most creative and colorful and inspirational and spiritual work from our children in their lives, think about the miraculous gift of life we have all been blessed with, that every moment is sacred and that each day is a gift, that impossible is just a dare and waiting for you to take it by the horns. And now you're charged with changing the world for the better. Because if you really give, you'll really live. And if you love a child, you'll love yourself. And if you give your whole heart to kids, they will follow you to the end of the world. I promise you. They will do everything with you. So celebrate the vivid beauty, the illustrious color, the depth of soul, and the expression of self like it's never been done before. Then children will become even more fearless, emboldened by their successes. And for the first time in our generation, we will do something so powerful, so magical, so unprecedented, that although you may be looking through the eyes of a child, you will see the face of God. You will see the face of God. We can claim the future as our own today. When you leave this space, you can make a decision to be different, even in just the smallest of ways. And I challenge you to do so. It's my plan, it's my hope, and it's my conviction for each one of us today. It's been an honor speaking with you this morning. I'm so glad to be here, and I'd be happy to take any questions after we do it. Thank you so much. God bless and have a great weekend. You're welcome.